Hey everyone, welcome to the show. So, I'm just going to say this up front. I will not vote for a presidential candidate who doesn't commit to arresting and charging Kristi Noem, Gregory Bovino, Stephen Miller, and all of these sadistic SOBs that are terrorizing our country right now. And I'm going to explain why in just a minute, because a federal judge just exposed something. They just exposed the Department of Homeland Security and ICE agents as being sociopathic, demented liars. This is not an exaggeration. And I'm actually shocked that this isn't a bigger story. Like, I'm surprised that this didn't get more traction in mainstream media, because this is unheard of. Like, our government should not be able to lie like this about American citizens, not about even, undocumented immigrants. They shouldn't be able to lie about them either, but they should not be able to just flat out fabricate stories about American citizens and physically abuse them in the process, and then make up stories for why they did it. So this judge gave them a verbal beatdown. She published a 233-page ruling after she found that there was unequivocal proof that they're just making shit up. They're just flat out lying to the courts. So I have all of those details for you. I also have a story to share about another court case against DHS where they're being sued for abusing immigrants at an ICE facility. And oh, what do you know? All of the video evidence has vanished. So before I get into these stories, please do me a huge favor. Click the subscribe button below this video. It is free, really, truly helps the show. I greatly appreciate it. So here's the deal. It was reported, I think this was last week now, the end of last week, that Judge Sarah Ellis issued this scathing ruling in regard to ICE's treatment of protesters in the state of Illinois. So these protesters are American citizens. That's who's stepping up to try to stand up for immigrants. So, unlike other judges who've looked at these cases or had these cases come before them, Judge Ellis actually went out there and did the work. She didn't just take ICE and their word for it. She actually went and reviewed all of the body cam footage from the agents, and it showed they are lying about everything. So Judge Ellis said over and over again that the body cam footage and protesters' videos that she was supplied with do not match what's in the agent's reports. Heads should be rolling over this. People should be getting fired, at the very least, if not going to jail for lying to the court. So, for example, the judge said that she saw one agent on body cam using ChatGPT to, quote, compile a narrative for his report on an encounter with protesters. So he put in like a few words or a sentence as a prompt, and then literally had ChatGPT give him a report back that he could share with the court. Like, are you kidding me? So he didn't even try to come up with the lies himself. And he, again, did this on body cam. I mean, I guess we should be thankful that these people are as stupid as they are evil. Now, Judge Ellis also wrote that DHS agents tried to justify their actions during an incident that happened on October 3rd. They claimed that they were in danger of being, quote unquote, rammed from behind. Well, that's not what the video evidence shows. The video evidence shows, quote, this is what the judge wrote. The agent drove erratically and brake-checked other motorists in an attempt to force accidents that agents could then use as justification for deploying force. So they are out there trying to cause accidents, trying to get people to rear end them so they have a justification and an excuse to go batshit crazy on them and spray them and beat them and whatever the hell else. And then she said another video showed agents, quote, driving erratically and through stop signs and red lights, then making a fast right turn at a red light that set off a rear end crash before detaining bystanders on the pavement. One agent twice pointed a handgun at a resident who was filming and warned, "Step back or I'm going to shoot you." And Judge Ellis went on to say that the video evidence backed up what witnesses are saying, that there was an incident during all of this, during the same event, where ICE agents twisted some young man's arm behind him, and they, quote unquote, bashed the man's head on the street at least 2 times. And then it also showed Trump's Gestapo tackling a woman to the ground without any warning. They never said, "Hey, step back." And then the judge said that then they pepper sprayed the crowd. And the judge also cited an infuriating incident on October 24th. So there were agents, ICE agents, who were driving down the street. This was in Lakeview, Illinois. And on the body cam, you hear the driver say to another ICE agent in the car, he said, quote, "Throw it out for fun." And then another agent who was also in the SUV with them chucked a tear gas canister out the window at the protesters. And then another agent in the vehicle was taunting them and said, "Have fun." So the driver's telling them, yeah, throw tear gas at them for fun. And then they said, or the judge explained, about 15 seconds after that, they threw 2 more canisters of tear gas out at the protesters. And the judge said they weren't being blocked. It's not like they were doing this because they thought, "Oh my gosh, we're surrounded. We can't get out. What are we going to do? These people are dangerous. And, how are we going to protect ourselves?" No, she said they had a wide open exit path. So journalist Aaron Reichlin, I think is how you pronounce it, Reichlin Melnick, he combed through all of the 200 and some pages of this judge's rulings, and he highlighted some of the other lies that she cited in the ruling. So he posted these as a thread on Twitter. So I'm going to read some of them to you. Sorry, guys, I have hair in my eye. So he posted, on October 28, DHS Gov claimed that 2 days earlier, rioters, quote unquote, had, quote unquote, shot at agents with commercial artillery shell fireworks, thus forcing agents to deploy tear gas and riot munitions. Judge Ellis reviewed the video. This was completely false. The explosions were DHS's flashbangs. So they're so stupid. They're either so stupid or they're so psycho that they either didn't know that the explosions were their own munitions, were their own flashbangs, or they're so psycho that they didn't care and they used it as an excuse to shoot off tear gas and riot munitions at people. And then he added this one. Quote, DHS claimed that agents were forced to use riot munitions to disperse an unruly mob on September 19. In fact, the scene was quiet, and then almost immediately and without warning, agents lobbed flashbang grenades, tear gas, and pepper balls, stating "fuck yeah" as they do so. That was what the judge found. So they're making up stories. Oh, unruly mob, they put down. That's why they had to do it. And yet the judge looks at the videos and goes, Yeah, everybody was peaceful. Everybody was calm. So then he posted this one. Quote, DHS claimed that on September 26, a DHS officer claimed that they were forced to deploy riot munitions because protesters were, quote unquote, becoming increasingly hostile. In fact, quote, the BWC video shows that the protesters were simply standing there when agents first deployed any force. So again, lying through their teeth, caught by their own body cam footage. And then the judge also wrote that a top ICE officer testified that protesters had, quote unquote, shields with nails in them. So they're saying like they had pieces of lumber, like pieces of wood with nails in it, and that they were using it against the agents as weapons. But again, the video evidence shows not only were there no nails, there was no plywood. The shields were made of cardboard. I mean, these people are psycho. In another incident, and this was written up in a report, ICE agents claimed that the protesters threw a bike at them. Once again, body cam footage shows that is a complete lie. Actually, Trump's Gestapo threw the bike. They were the ones. It says, actually took a protester's bike and threw it to the side. That's what the judge wrote. That she saw on video that it was ICE agents who took a protester's bike, chucked it to the side, and then they used, oh, somebody threw a bike at us, as an excuse to go ballistic on these people. So these sadistic fucks are just absolutely making things up so that they can get away with being as violent and vicious as they want. And the judge accused Trump's U.S. Border Patrol chief, Gregory Bovino, of being, quote, evasive over the 3 days of his deposition, either providing cute responses or outright lying. And she brings the receipts on Bovino as well. So the judge pointed out that Bovino denied tackling a protester, even though it was all captured on video. So these people are sociopaths. And in regard to an incident that happened on October 23rd, Bovino claimed that he deployed tear gas into the crowd because he was hit with a rock. He said that somebody threw a rock and it hit him in the head. Judge Ellis looked at the video and said that it proves otherwise. And she found that he first fired the tear gas and then someone threw a rock. And he repeatedly, she said, changed his story when he was under oath and during this deposition. Why are these people not being sanctioned, stripped of their positions, jailed? I mean, if anyone else went into court and just flat out lied to a judge, they would be up a creek. They would be in so much trouble. Now, unfortunately, an appeals panel put a temporary hold on Judge Ellis' ruling. She said, you know, we're going to have to cease everything, halt, you know, ICE in Illinois, all of their activity, blah, blah, blah. And she wanted to put certain requirements on them. Well, this board, this panel of judges said, well, it's a little overly broad, so we're going to put a pause on that. They did, though, warn DHS, don't overread this. Don't misconstrue this as us giving you a get out of jail free card. So we'll see what happens with all of this, but, you know, at least a record is being created for future prosecution. And like I said, DHS is also disappearing evidence. So 404 Media had recently reported that ICE can't turn over video evidence for alleged abuse lawsuits because they claim that their system crashed and that it accidentally erased everything. I mean, just, it's laughable. I mean, it's sick. It's disturbing that people are being abused in these facilities, but it is laughable that they think anybody's going to buy this. I mean, how convenient, you know? And 404 Media wrote, quote, "The federal government claims that the day after it was sued for allegedly abusing detainees at an ICE detention center, a quote-unquote system crash deleted nearly 2 weeks of surveillance footage from inside the facility. People detained at ICE's Broadview Detention Center in suburban Chicago sued the government on October 30th. According to their lawyers and the government, nearly 2 weeks of footage that could show how they were treated was lost in a quote-unquote system crash that happened on October 31st. 1 day after being sued. Total coincidence, you guys. And an attorney for the plaintiffs told 404 Media that basically the government's stonewalling them. So they've been trying to find out, like, did anybody try to recover this so-called lost footage? Do you have anybody working on this? Not getting any answers. And then check this out. Attorneys for the government actually told the court, you know, we don't have the resources. I know you guys want us to save all this footage indefinitely, just in case, but we don't have the resources. We don't have the money for this. So they actually suggested that these immigrants or their attorneys should provide the government with hard drives so that they can keep all of these videos. I mean, we're giving upwards of $40 billion to Argentina. We're building a ballroom, a White House ballroom costing hundreds of millions of dollars. We're spending tens of millions of dollars so Donald Trump can go play golf, it seems like, every other weekend. You know, we're hosting lavish dinners for wealthy tech oligarchs, murderous Saudi dictators. You know, we're spending $200 million on new jets for puppy killer Kristi Noem. And God knows what else I'm not even thinking about or can't remember right now. But yet we don't have a few dollars for hard drives to preserve evidence? Seriously? Like I said, these people need to be arrested and they need to be imprisoned. I refuse to vote for any presidential candidate who doesn't promise that. I want them to promise to seek justice on day one. And I'm not talking about, oh, we're going to put on a show like Donald Trump is doing with Comey and we'll arrest him, but, you know, or we'll arrest Kristi Noem or all these other people, but then, you know, it'll just kind of fade away. No, these people need to pay, because if they don't, number one, they're getting away with crimes, alleged crimes. Number two, you are showing the next administration and the one after that and everyone that comes after that they can get away with lying to judges, with doing whatever the hell they want, violating people's constitutional rights, and there is no penalty. There's nothing. They will pay no price. There's absolutely nothing that will be done. So have at it. Do whatever the hell you want. Break as many laws as you want. Violate the Constitution. Destroy people's lives. And you just get to ride off into the sunset. So no, we're not doing that. We're living the results of that happening in the last term. We are now in the midst of the repercussions, the fallout of not properly adjudicating the crimes committed by the last president, by the last administration. So it will only get worse. It will continue to get worse and worse and worse if nothing is done. So this isn't about retribution. This is about making sure that our laws and our Constitution still matter in this country. Anyway, guys, if I hear any more, I'll let you know. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please like, please share, and subscribe. Please donate if you can. It really helps to keep the show going. I greatly appreciate everyone who does that. Thank you all again. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.